Hello, everyone. Welcome to Southeastern 14. I am Blayne Gilmer. We are here to continue our countdown of the top 5 SEC quarterbacks heading into the preseason here in 2023. We've went down the list of a lot of good names. There's been some names that we've had to leave out of the list, and some people may agree, they may not agree. That's the beauty of this. Leave your comments, like, subscribe, turn on notification, all those good things. But here on Southeastern 14, we bring you the content on college football, SEC college football, SEC baseball, SEC basketball. Myself, Chris Lee, Blake Lovell, always bringing you as much content as we can put out there for you guys. And it helps us out if you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. So let's recap where we have been so far before we get to number 1 on the countdown, which you can already see on one of the screens behind me there. But our honorable mentions, we had the quarterback rooms of Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss. When you have not officially named a starter, you cannot make the list of the top 5. So that's the reasons they weren't on there. Spencer Rattler did not make this list because he's been just wildly inconsistent. Don't know what to expect out of Spencer Rattler, whether it's going to be the Tennessee-like performance or the performance he had against Florida. Who knows how it's going to be? Or Georgia State, for that matter. All these different inconsistent performances he's had. And then Joe Milton. I didn't put Joe Milton in the top 5 because if this was based off pure talent alone, yes. But Joe Milton has not proven yet that he can hold a starting job for an entire season. Need to see him to be able to do that. He has Nico Imaliva that's going to make that hard on him. So we shall see how Joe Milton does in that case. Now, all of those guys that I just mentioned, they could end up making their way into the top 5, but as of right now, they're not in the top 5. So let's run down the top 5. We had Connor Weigman, number 5, unquestioned starter at Texas A&M, has Bobby Petrino coming in around him, has 3 really talented wide receivers, and maybe the best tight end room outside of Georgia in the SEC. I think you're going to like what you see out of Connor Weigman this year. He had 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions last year in his 4 games as the true starter for Texas A&M. I think with Bobby Petrino coming in, you're going to see a big jump for him. I like Connor Weigman at number 5. Our number 4 was Will Rogers. Listen, experience. He's thrown more passes than anybody in the SEC on this list. He's seen every kind of defense you can throw at him. Yes, he's transitioning from air raid to more pro style under Kevin Barbay. But I think Will Rogers is a guy that you have to put up there in the top 5, and I'm getting him slotted at number 4. KJ Jefferson, listen, he's immensely talented, both with a strong arm. He can really run the football, a big body guy that can take punishment, that can dole out punishment, and he's got a talented running back room with him. I think Dan Eno's coming in is going to make him benefit in that RPO style system. I like KJ Jefferson with his experience and with his talent, and also with what he has around him to be at number 3. Devin Leary, I had at number 2 for Kentucky because Devin Leary he's that guy now. I'm telling you, he was 17-4 as a starter over there for NC State in the 2021-2022 season, hurt his pec, and now he's back full strength. He's got 3 really talented, probably the most talented receivers that Mark Stoops has had during his time at Kentucky, and they've fixed things on the offensive line. Most importantly, Liam Cohen comes back as offensive coordinator. I've got Devin Leary at number 2. But number 1 on this list, we have none other than LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels had a phenomenal first season last year in Baton Rouge for Brian Kelly's squad. 17 passing touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, completed almost 69% of his passes, added another 11 rushing touchdowns, and this man was also their leading rusher at 885 yards. So if LSU takes care of business against Texas A&M last year, doesn't falter there, then you might be looking at and had a little bit better performance against Tennessee. You're looking at a guy who may be getting in Heisman conversation type stuff because of just the massive amounts of production that he had. And I think what you're going to see out of Jayden Daniels is this young man. This was year one, and he was battling for a starting position last year. He was in fall camp. He wasn't the guy. He wasn't the clear cut starter. He didn't get all the reps and all the continuity and things like that. So it wasn't until really that Tennessee game last year where he really passing the ball wise. Tennessee, Florida had back-to-back 300-yard games against UAB. He did another one. So he didn't start hitting that continuity that with that receiving core till about midway through the season, because he was full scale, the number one guy, all that kind of stuff. This year 2 in Mike Denbrock's system there, the offensive coordinator at LSU, I think you're going to see tremendous growth from Jayden Daniels as a passer. I think he already completed 69% of his passes. I think you're going to see the pass attempts go up. I think you're going to see more help for him in the running back room. Like guys like Josh Williams, Armani Goodman, Noah Kane. They have a lot of guys that they can go and hand the ball to. And one reason that Jayden Daniels had to run a little bit more last year than maybe they would have wanted him to is because they were so young on the offensive line. Both tackles were freshmen, and that is a difficult thing. There was a lot of pressure at times, and he took off and run. They also alleviated some of that pressure, because if you can design runs for a quarterback, that forces a defense to play a little bit more on their heels, because they're at a disadvantage. You have a +1 with a running back as an extra blocker, so it puts the defense at a disadvantage. And Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly took advantage of that last year a lot. So why do I think the total package? Well, like I said, Mike Denbrock, year 2, Jayden Daniels, he's going to grow in the system. Also, you go look at the wide receivers that are around him. It is unbelievable the talent that is on the plane at the wide receiver position. I think the best wide receiver group in the SEC, when you talk about Malik Neighbors, when you talk about Kyron Lacey, when you talk about Brian Thomas, you talk about Chris Hilton. I mean, they've got so many guys. Landon Abetta. There's so many guys that weapons that Jayden Daniels can throw the ball to, and that's not even mentioning Mason Taylor, who made the game-winning catch against Alabama last year. Of course, Jason Taylor's son, great NFL pedigree, and he's already turned into a superstar in his own right. And that's not mentioning 5-star receiver they brought in via the transfer portal that had originally gone to Alabama, Aaron Anderson, out of Edna Karr High School. He comes back to the New Orleans area. He's back home. We're going to see an absolutely loaded for bear offense from LSU in 2023. And I think Jayden Daniels is going to have a firmer grasp of it. He's going to have that confidence of knowing, okay, going into the year, I'm the clear-cut number one, and is able to really build an even better rapport with the spring. In the spring, he looked phenomenal, throwing the ball all over the place. And, of course, we know what he can do with his legs. It all starts week 1 with Florida State at Orlando. That's going to be a big game environment. And this maturity that I'm talking about, the ability to be that guy, it's going to be needed, because there's some games like going to Orlando for that Florida State game, like going to Tuscaloosa this year for the Alabama game. Those are really the two hurdles that LSU has to kind of get over this year, that's preventing them from going right back to the West Championship and also vying for a college football playoff this year. So a lot of positives for the LSU program, a lot of excitement around Jayden Daniels. I believe he will be in New York as a Heisman Trophy finalist this season, because of, I think he's going to put up probably a solid, probably more in the 450 to 600 range rushing. I don't think he'll have to run as much, but he can take off and run when needed, and will provide some special plays that way. But I think you're looking at a guy who gets upwards of 3,500, in between 3,500 and 4,000 yards passing this year, because that wide receiver core plus the Mason Taylor at tight end is absolutely nasty, and is going to give defenses fits I think Mike Denbrock, Brian Kelly are doing a great job of tailoring what they do to the tremendous personnel that they have. Like I said, that offensive line is more experienced. They bring virtually everyone back, and also those two tackles that were freshmen last year have invaluable experience now, and will look to be even more savvy and more just more improved than they were as freshmen, as sophomores. So I think a lot to be excited about. That is why Jayden Daniels is number one on our 2023 preseason rankings for quarterbacks, the countdown we had here. Tell us what you think. Leave your comments, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We'd love to hear from you guys. We've got team previews, schedule breakdowns, game-by-game predictions coming up, more position countdowns as we go throughout and count our way down to the 2023 football season. Like I said, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm Blayne Gilmer for everyone at Southeastern 14. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.